In the fog-choked depths of Ravenswood Forest, Ethan Caldwell clutches a scorched photo of his missing sisters, Lila and Sophie, lost for 16 years. A chilling clue resurfaces, pulling him into a deadly game with a ruthless killer. Will Ethan uncover the truth or become the next victim? This story, while fictional, is inspired by real-life mysteries for education and entertainment. Like, subscribe, comment, and share to stay hooked on our thrilling tales. Don't miss the shocking twists. Watch to the end to unravel the secrets of Ashwood's darkest night. What's lurking in the shadows? Find out now. Ethan Caldwell's boots pounded the frozen earth, his breath puffing out in frantic clouds against the 40-degree chill of Ravenswood Forest. The Oregon night smothered him in fog so thick it swallowed his flashlight's beam. His heart thundered, a jagged scar across his knuckles bleeding as he clutched a scorched photograph. In it, two girls, Lila and Sophie, his sisters, stared out, wrists bound, eyes wide with terror. 16 years had passed since they vanished, yet this picture, unearthed just hours ago, burned with fresh menace. Ethan's pulse roared in his ears, drowning out the crunch of frost-covered leaves. Behind him, heavy footsteps echoed, relentless, closing in. A flashlight's glare sliced through the mist, hunting him. "Keep running, Caldwell," Ethan muttered, voice raw and ragged. "You're too close to quit now." His jacket, torn from a briar patch, flapped against his sides as he stumbled over gnarled roots. The forest felt alive, its skeletal branches clawing at him, whispering secrets of Ashwood's cursed history. Somewhere out there, Victor Kane, the shadow behind his sister's disappearance, was watching. A low, guttural voice cut through the dark. "Caldwell, you're digging your own grave." The words slithered from the fog, chilling Ethan's spine. He didn't turn, didn't dare. His fingers tightened around the photograph, its edges crumbling under his grip. Lila's defiant glare, and Sophie's trembling lips stared back, a silent plea from 16 years ago. He couldn't fail them again. His foot caught a root, and he crashed to his knees, the photograph slipping from his hand into the damp dirt. "No, no, no," he hissed, scrambling to retrieve it. As his fingers brushed the paper, his flashlight caught a glint in the underbrush's silver ring, small and delicate, engraved with Lila. His breath hitched. It was hers, the one she never took off, lost in this god-forsaken forest. His chest tightened, a surge of hope colliding with dread. How had it ended up here, buried in the dirt, 16 years later? Ethan snatched the ring, his eyes darting through the fog. The footsteps were closer now, deliberate, unhurried. A second beam of light swept dangerously near, and he ducked behind a moss-slicked boulder, heart slamming against his ribs. "You don't get to hide this time, Kane," he whispered, voice shaking with fury. The ring burned in his palm, a fragile thread to his sisters, to answers he'd chased for half his life. A sharp crack split the air. A gunshot, too close. Ethan bolted, the forest swallowing his shadow as he plunged deeper into the dark. The photograph, now crumpled in his fist, was his only guide, its secrets pulling him toward a truth he wasn't sure he could face. Who was chasing him? And why, after 16 years, had Lila's ring surfaced now? Snow dusted the windows of the Caldwell house in Ashwood, Oregon, the 35-degree air creeping through the cracks. Thanksgiving dinner sat heavy on the table, turkey carved, plates piled, but the two empty chairs screamed louder than any chatter. Ethan Caldwell, 35, leaned against the counter, staring at the porch where snowflakes piled up like unanswered questions. 16 years ago, his sisters, Lila and Sophie, vanished into Ravenswood Forest, leaving the family fractured. Now, Ethan, once a firefighter, now an insurance clerk, carried the weight of holding everyone together. But the ghosts of his sisters lingered, heavy as the November chill. Margaret, his mother, moved like a shadow, setting out cranberry sauce with trembling hands. Her gray-streaked hair was pinned tight, her face etched with grief she never voiced. Thomas, his father, a retired cop, sliced potatoes with mechanical precision, his eyes avoiding the empty chairs. Ava, 25, the youngest, stormed in with a bowl of green beans, her jaw tight. A freelance journalist, she burned with a fire Ethan both admired and feared. 16 years, Ava snapped, slamming the bowl down. And we're still pretending Lila and Sophie didn't exist? Margaret froze, her fork clattering. Ava, please, she whispered, voice brittle. Thomas's knife paused, his knuckles white. Not tonight, he growled. We've been through this. Why not tonight? Ava shot back, eyes blazing. Every Thanksgiving, we sit here, eating, smiling, like they're not out there somewhere. Or were. You act like ignoring it brings them back. Ethan stepped forward, voice steady but strained. Enough, Ava. You're not the only one hurting, but digging up the past doesn't help. Ava's glare turned on him, sharp as a blade. You're fine just forgetting them, Ethan. You're the big brother. You were supposed to protect them. The words stung, slicing through Ethan's calm. Margaret's eyes welled up, and Thomas turned away, jaw clenched. The silence choked the room, broken only by the refrigerator's hum. Ethan's chest tightened, guilt and anger warring inside him. He reached for Ava, but she pulled back, her face a mix of fury and pain. Margaret's voice cracked. Please, not tonight. Before anyone could respond, Ethan's phone buzzed, shattering the tension. The screen lit up, Claire Novak. His pulse spiked. Detective Novak hadn't called in months. He stepped into the kitchen, heart pounding. Claire? He answered, voice low. Ethan, Claire's tone was clipped, urgent. We found something in Ravenswood. Meet me at the old ranger station. Now, come alone. Ethan grabbed his coat, ignoring Margaret's worried glance. Nothing to worry about, Mom. He lied, forcing calm. Just some paperwork. As he stepped into the biting cold, the weight of Claire's words sank in. After 16 years, something had shifted. He climbed into his truck, the engine roaring to life, and drove toward Ravenswood, the darkness whispering of secrets long buried. The old ranger station loomed in the 30-degree chill of Ravenswood Forest, its weathered boards creaking under the weight of Ashwood's secrets. Ethan Caldwell's truck skidded to a stop, gravel crunching as he stepped into the biting Oregon night. His breath hung in clouds, the air sharp with pine and damp earth. Detective Claire Novak waited, her flashlight cutting through the fog, her face grim under the brim of her coat's hood. 16 years on the force had hardened her, but her eyes held a flicker of unease as she motioned Ethan toward a cordoned-off clearing. Yellow police tape fluttered like ghosts in the wind. Ethan, brace yourself, Claire said, voice low, barely audible over the rustling pines. She led him to a tarp where evidence lay exposed, a rotted wooden box, unearthed from the frozen soil. Inside, a pair of Sophie's mud-caked running shoes, Lila's beaded bracelet, and a dusty VHS tape, its label scratched blank. Ethan's heart lurched, his fingers trembling as he touched the bracelet, its once bright colors dulled by time. These are theirs, he choked out, voice raw. 16 years, Claire. How'd we miss this? Claire crouched beside him, her flashlight steady. We searched these woods a dozen times. Whoever buried this knew how to hide it. And Ethan, the soil's fresh disturbed within weeks. Ethan's pulse raced. Weeks. His sister's trail wasn't cold. Claire handed him a portable VHS player, its screen flickering to life. The grainy footage showed Lila and Sophie, bound in a dim room, their faces pale but defiant. A strange whisper, like wind through dead branches, hissed through the audio. Ethan's chest tightened, his eyes locked on a faded sign in the background. Ashwood Mill, 3 miles. That's the old mill, he said, voice shaking with realization. The abandoned one by Route 12. Claire's jaw tightened. Ethan, don't do anything stupid. Whoever hid this is dangerous. I'm done waiting, Ethan snapped, eyes burning. They're out there, Claire. I'm going. Listen to me. Claire grabbed his arm, her grip firm. You go alone. You're playing into their hands. Let us handle it. Ethan pulled free, his mind already at the mill, its rusted silos haunting his childhood memories. Rumors of drug deals and worse had swirled around it for years. He nodded curtly, but his resolve was iron. Fine. Call your team. I'll meet you there." As Claire radioed for backup, Ethan climbed into his truck, the VHS tape heavy in his pocket. The mill was 3 miles away, a crumbling relic where answers or danger waited. Headlights pierced the fog as he sped off, the forest shadows clawing at his resolve. What had Lila and Sophie endured in that room? And who was still watching, ready to bury the truth again? The Ashwood Mill loomed like a rotting skeleton, its broken windows gaping under the 28-degree Oregon night. Ethan Caldwell's flashlight flickered across rusted beams, the air thick with mold and decay. He'd slipped away from Claire's warnings, driven by the scorched photo and Lila's ring burning in his pocket. 16 years of guilt fueled his steps. Behind him, Ava trailed silently, her journalist instincts overriding his pleas to stay back. Her boots scuffed the dirt, her breath quick. "You shouldn't be here," Ethan hissed, but Ava's eyes gleamed with defiance. "Neither should you," she whispered, clutching her phone, its dim light catching cobwebs. They found a trapdoor under a sagging floorboard, its hinges groaning as Ethan pried it open. A dank staircase descended into a hidden bunker, the air heavy with mildew. At the bottom, rusted chains dangled from the walls, etched with LC plus SC, Lila and Sophie Caldwell. Ethan's heart sank, his fingers tracing the scratches. Ava gasped, pointing to a loose board. She yanked it free, revealing a tattered notebook, Sophie's handwriting, frantic, detailing their captivity. "Lila told me to run," one page read. They caught her. "Ethan, look," Ava breathed, voice trembling. Sophie wrote, "She distracted them, but I wasn't fast enough." What the hell happened here? Ethan's throat tightened, rage simmering. "They were here, Ava. Right here." Before he could read more, a shadow moved above. Heavy boots thudded, and a cold voice sliced through the dark. "You shouldn't be here, Caldwell." Ethan froze, shoving Ava behind a crate. Jacob Harrow, his father's old partner, stepped into the faint moonlight, a pistol glinting in his hand. His face was haggard, eyes hollow. "I told your dad to let it go," Jacob growled. "Kane paid me to keep quiet 16 years ago. Said he'd kill my family if I talked. Now you're stirring it all up. You sold them out?" Ethan's voice shook, fists clenched. "My sisters, Jacob." "Lila's gone," Jacob said, voice flat. "Kane moved Sophie weeks ago. You're too late." Ava's phone slipped, clattering. Jacob's gun swung toward the sound, but a sharp crack rang out, a gunshot from the shadows. Jacob crumpled, blood pooling. Ethan grabbed Ava, dragging her toward the stairs as footsteps echoed above. A tall figure, Victor Kane, loomed briefly, his eyes cold as steel, then vanished into the dark. "Who shot him?" Ava gasped, trembling as they stumbled out of the mill. Ethan's mind raced, the notebook heavy in his hand. Kane was close, taunting them. The truth about Lila and Sophie was slipping away again, and someone, Kane or an unknown ally, was watching their every move. Ethan gunned the truck's engine, the mill shrinking in the rear view. One question burned. Was Sophie still alive, or was Kane's game just beginning? The Birch Creek Road farmhouse crouched in the 25-degree Oregon night, its peeling paint ghostly under faint moonlight. Ethan Caldwell sat rigid in Detective Claire Novak's unmarked SUV, the engine idling 10 miles from Ashwood. Sophie's notebook, its pages brittle with despair, weighed heavy in his jacket. 16 years after his sisters vanished, a tip from Sam Wheeler, a young hacker who'd cracked Victor Kane's surveillance, led them here. Claire, her face taut, briefed the tactical team. "We move at 3 in the morning, she said. "Kane's holding a female detainee codenamed D. It's Sophie." Ethan's voice was steel. "I'm going in, Claire." She nodded, eyes wary. "Stay close. Kane expects chaos." The team fanned out, shadows slipping across barren fields. Ethan's flashlight trembled as he followed Claire, the farmhouse's porch light a sickly glow. A shout shattered the silence, and the team stormed the splintered front door. Gunfire erupted inside, muzzle flashes lighting up the rotting halls. Ethan flattened against a wall, heart pounding like a jackhammer. Claire signaled him to hold as she advanced, her pistol steady. 2 of Kane's men fired from behind a flip table, their shots wild. The team returned precise volleys, pinning them down. Within minutes, the men were cuffed, faces pressed to the dusty floor. "Basement," an officer yelled, pointing to a locked door. Ethan raced down creaking stairs, nearly tripping in the musty dark. The air reeked of mildew, cobwebs clinging to his face. Bolt cutters snapped a rusted lock, revealing a row of cells. In the farthest, Sophie slumped against the wall, her frail frame chained, eyes half closed. "Sophie!" Ethan shouted, dropping to his knees. She was thin, her wrists raw and bruised, but alive. He cradled her, voice breaking. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered, a faint spark of recognition. "Ethan," she rasped, barely audible. Tears stung his eyes as he held her close. "We got you," he whispered. Officers checked the other cells empty. Then, Ethan spotted a flickering monitor in the corner. Grainy footage showed Lila, alive, in another room, her face hollow but defiant. His heart surged, but as the team rushed to the location, they found only an empty chair and a scrawled note. "Too slow, Caldwell." Outside, chaos erupted. Kane appeared, flanked by armed men, firing into the dark. Officers scrambled, returning fire. Ethan shielded Sophie, glimpsing Kane's cold eyes, the same man from the mill. Kane vanished into the night, tires screeching. Claire cursed, her voice sharp with frustration. Paramedics rushed Sophie to an ambulance, her breathing shallow but steady. Ethan clutched the note, rage and hope warring inside him. Sophie was safe, but Lila was still out there, and Kane was taunting him. As the ambulance sped off, one question burned. Where was Lila, and what was Kane's next move? Sunlight filtered through the blinds of Ashwood General Hospital, the 45-degree afternoon casting soft shadows across Sophie's bed. Ethan Caldwell sat hunched in a stiff chair, his eyes locked on his sister's frail form. 16 years after Lila and Sophie vanished, Sophie was back, her gaunt cheeks and bandaged wrists a testament to her ordeal. IV drips hummed, nurses moved quietly, but Ethan's mind churned with Victor Kane's taunting note. "Too slow, Caldwell." Sophie stirred, her voice a faint rasp. "Lila saved me," she whispered. "She distracted them, told me to run." Ethan squeezed her hand, his throat tight. "What happened, Soph? Where's Lila?" Sophie's eyes glistened, pain etched deep. "They moved us so many times. Lila fought them, took their hits to protect me. One night, she broke a lock, but they caught her. They said she was gone." Her voice broke, tears falling. Ethan glanced at Detective Claire Novak, who stood by the door, her face heavy with guilt. "Take your time," Claire said softly, notepad ready. "Any detail helps." Sophie nodded, trembling. "They kept us in basements, warehouses. Lila never gave up. She'd whisper we'd get out, but after they took her, I never saw her again." The door creaked open. Margaret and Thomas stepped in, their faces raw with worry. Sophie stiffened, her gaze sharp. "You knew," she said, voice low. "Dad, you got a call, didn't you?" Thomas froze, his retired cop facade crumbling. "I got a ransom demand," he admitted, voice shaking. $50,000. I didn't have it. They threatened you all. I thought silence would keep you safe." Margaret gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "You never told me," she whispered. Ethan stood, fury boiling. "You let them suffer to save yourself," he spat. Sophie's eyes filled with betrayal, her voice frail. "No more fighting, please." Ava slipped in, her journalist's fire dimmed by exhaustion. She met Ethan's gaze, nodding silently. Later, in the hall, she gripped his arm. "She's alive, Ethan. Focus on that. Lila's still out there." Ethan's voice cracked. "Sophie thinks she's dead. Kane's note says otherwise." That night, Ethan's phone buzzed with an anonymous text, a grainy photo of Lila in Ravenswood Forest, her eyes hollow. "She's here. Find her, if you dare." His pulse raced, hope and dread colliding. Claire's warning echoed. "Kane wants you reckless." But Ethan's resolve hardened. He'd find Lila, no matter the cost. Experts note criminals like Kane thrive on fear, manipulating families into silence. The FBI reports over 600,000 missing persons annually. Hesitation can be deadly. If someone vanishes, call the police or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. Ethan stood outside the hospital, staring into the dusk, the photo of Lila burning in his hand. Kane was out there, and so was Lila. The hunt wasn't over,